let's just replace everyone with robots. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Doom Scroll podcast. I am Cody, and we are here with Calvin, and we're ready to kick off another episode. But before we dive into the topics, there's a lot going on, and we'll just start with life. So, Calvin, how's life treating you? What's new?
Same shit, different day. Just working hard, busy. Celebrating Seahawks Super Bowl win. So that was nice, and just had Valentine's Day, so that was also nice. How about you?
Yeah, pretty much same Valentine's Day stuff. We celebrated the night before because we didn't have we had the kids on Saturday, so obviously it makes it hard to do any sort of date night situation. But we just ordered in sushi because it was still crazy. It's a Friday, and we're just not one for crowds. We're all overstimulated, and we just picked up sushi from a place that's like down the street and called it good. Oh yeah, it does. Picked up some eclairs from the Nugget close by. Those are pretty good. And we just watched Harlan Coben's latest limited series on Netflix. But outside of that, speaking of Super Bowl, so did you watch the Bad Bunny halftime show?
Of course I did.
What'd you think?
I thought it was great. I mean, I also don't speak Spanish, so I don't understand what he's saying necessarily. My wife does, so my wife understood it, and my wife likes Bad Bunny. But I thought it was great. I thought, cinematically, I thought it was very interesting with all like the changes and like the scene changes, and it definitely had like a bit of a story going on, which was really cool. And I thought the message was really great at the end.
I didn't catch it live. I did, catch basically clips and stuff of it later. But I also caught clips of the Turning Point USA's. I mean, I wasn't watching it. I was not participating in watching that.
I just want to catch my fish, drive my truck, drink my beer.
Live, if you can call it. I heard it was recorded days earlier, by the way. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Which is like, wow. Okay. So yeah, that was interesting. I find it, I found the Bad Bunny show, again, it had some, symbolism and stuff like that, especially, at the end, and how he was giving like his Grammy to the little boy that was put into ice and stuff like that.
That's not true, actually. That's been debunked.
Okay.
So it was a boy that looks like the kid, but it wasn't the actual kid. It was supposed to be a representative of him as a child, but people just took it and ran it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was symbolism. I didn't think it was like the actual kid. But okay, that makes sense. He was kind of like giving it to himself, but he could very well have ended up just like that little kid if he was a little kid in this era of things, because apparently most of America does not know that Puerto Ricans are Americans. So yeah, that was probably the most crazy, infuriating thing, is just overall watching or just realizing how much of this country's stupidity was just on full display, of being like, oh, this is an American halftime show. And it's like, he's American. And one thing we also noticed is that, they're mad that he's not speaking English, but like, that doesn't matter. He's still an American, and Americans go and sing in English all the time, and they're not like, nope, you can't come here because you're speaking in English and you're not you're singing in Spanish. And but anywho, it was just, people got to throw fits over something. Last year it was the Olympics with the opening, and them, thinking that they were mocking Jesus and all that stuff. And now, I don't even know what this one is about because what's his name? Kid Rock. Like, that's your American family. Like, just, you're racist. Just fucking say it, why even try to hide that fact?
He's also like he sings about sleeping with the underage women, like girls. Like,
yep.
That's the representation you want in this day and age, then like that says everything.
Although I feel like there's sometimes I just want to rage. There's sometimes I want to just, not necessarily cry, but it feels a little sad. And there's sometimes I just want to laugh my ass off. If I think about the timeline that we're living in, like sometimes I just bust out laughing, probably because I'm just at this point of just pure, I don't know how to cope anymore. But I saw Franklin Graham post something on Facebook, basically promoting the Turning Point USA halftime show with it being Kid Rock. And I'm just like, we were not allowed to listen to Kid Rock back in my Christian days because use of profanity, because his lyrics are just god awful and the opposite of what, Christianity was at the time. And so to see, Billy Graham's son, Franklin Graham Ministries, promoting this Turning Point USA halftime show with Kid fucking Rock. And I just don't know what to do with any of this.
They've lost the plot line. Everyone's lost the plot line. Yeah.
100%. And you're still trying to defend a president who is morally corrupt, has all the evidence that he is morally corrupt, and no one is holding him accountable. And one of the biggest rules or things that Christians say when they like to say, love the sin or hate the sin, or, real Christians hold each other accountable. It's out of love. This is why we're telling you XYZ, that you're going to hell if you're gay, that you're going to hell if you're trans or whatever. They say it's because they love us, right? Mm-hmm. Why don't they hold Trump accountable at all? Are they just admitting they don't love him? They're just like, you can go to hell. You're fulfilling all our inner fantasies that we're just too ashamed to actually admit. And the hypocritical, like it blows my mind. And this is why I just laugh. I can't help but laugh sometimes. It's bizarre. So yeah, off my high horse there.
I also don't know if you saw, because they've been like flaunting that their viewers were a lot higher than the Super Bowl. They got like 4 million viewers, and like fucking Candace Owens went on and was like, yeah, they're talking out of their ass. Like, that's not true. Like, you can look at what their viewers was, and it was like a couple 100,000, versus like they're saying that they had 4 million viewers live. And
I think they said
no.
They had 6 million. Yeah.
She was like, you're telling me that they're saying that they have like the second highest viewership in all of YouTube? Like, no, that's fucking bullshit. You can look right here. But that's the whole thing, is like, they'll just say whatever they want and people are going to be like, oh yeah, that's true. They said it.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly like all of these ICE shootings lately. They are just completely lying to people's faces. It's what they're doing with the economy. It's what they're doing with absolutely everything. Like, oh, prices are lower than they've ever been. Oh, inflation is down. It's just like,
but the Dow's down. At 50,000.
Oh my God. Don't worry. We are run by pedophiles, but the Dow
is
at
50,000.
It's just like, it feels like psychological warfare, some sort of crazy social experiment, and I refuse to participate. I can't participate because it's just, I can't. But I don't know how people are still just believing everything that they're hearing from this administration without actually using their own eyes and ears and at least spending more than 2 seconds to do more research to try to confirm what is true, what is not. And it sucks that we live in a time where we have to fact check whatever is coming out of the White House. But that is the truth. And the only way you can fact check it really is kind of to go to independent journalists or other people that are at the least unbiased source you can find, which is hard. But I think that's why I usually go over to X, because you're getting both sides of the story. You've got, people on the left that are going to say a certain thing. You got people in the middle, and you got people on the right. Usually, I think a lot of people generally fall somewhere in the middle. And so you can gather a better opinion of what is really happening. But you also will find whistleblowers or people who used to be on the right that are waking up. And so it's just there's a lot of people waking up. I'll say that. I've seen it time and time again, especially when it comes to Trump. That does give me hope. The thing that doesn't give me so much hope is that they're so easily won back.
Yeah.
One thing can happen, or like one file could come out where maybe Trump is slightly less implicated, and they're going to be like, oh, see, he is totally not involved. He told the authorities about Epstein, and he definitely didn't do anything wrong. And it's just like, what? No, that come on.
He told the authorities about Epstein after Epstein was already arrested. He was trying to save his own ass.
Yes, exactly. And they're trying to pass it off that he was one of the first ones to tell authorities about what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And it's just like, no, you guys, no. Why do we have to try to over and over again show you who he is? He's been showing you who he is for years. But for some reason, they just don't want to see it. And I'm like, why can the Republican Party come up with an actual conservative, like at this point I'm like, can we have a real Christian? Like, how I am with religion, but I would prefer like an actual Christian. And when I think of an actual Christian, I'm thinking like, I know many Christians would disagree with me, like James Tillerico from Texas. He's running for Senate, and the way that he speaks is the Christianity that I knew at one point. Actually better, but the overall values that he speaks of are the same. The values of Christianity just went out the window. The same time Trump started running for president, he does not represent the Christian values. And at the end of the day, those are what matter most, whether it's just your personal values or like your religious values. And I don't understand how MAGA can throw them both out the window for one dude who actually has not done fucking shit for them. So that's, sorry, rant, but
it's because he's really good at shifting the blame to others. So anytime anything wrong has happened with this country since he took office, it's always Biden, or it was Obama, or it's the liberals that are the Democrats that are doing it. When you actually look into it, a lot of the issues are from his own policies, from his own people who are doing shit and they don't have the qualifications to be in those roles. And so they're fucking everything up. But if you don't do that and you just go by what he says, you're like, oh yeah, we're in a recession because of Biden. No, we're in a recession because of like fucking tariffs. We're in a recession because, yeah, COVID was an issue, but like all of these stupid political games he's playing with other countries, that affects us, you know?
Yeah. And I saw, actually, that brings up a good point. I saw an article where it said like 90% of tariffs actually fell back on the taxpayers. And this whole time, they're trying to play it off like, it's not going to be the taxpayers or the citizens that are paying the tariffs, but that's exactly what has happened. And yeah, of course, that's going to affect the economy. People can't afford prices to keep going up. And we're at this boiling point, and I don't know what we're going to do as a country. I don't know what the citizens of America can do at this point, where it really does feel like we have no control, and the elites have absolute no concern about their citizens. And I don't know what I think they're at a point where they're just like, let's just replace everyone with robots. We don't have to care. We'll still get whatever we want. But how are we going to have money to purchase their products and support that? And I don't know, but it's a lot.
Definitely is. I mean, I don't know what. That's probably where we should jump into our first topic. Is should we talk about AI?
Yes, that is a good transition to that one, because yeah, the recent happenings with that. Do you want to start that topic, or
find it, because I don't know a lot about it. Suleiman, the Microsoft AI chief, is talking about routine white-collar tasks, reports that he's expecting fully automated in 12 to 18 months via AGI build AI systems. Corporate shifts already from US and India examples. So we're definitely seeing they're talking about a big drop in actual people working and going to more AI focused processes. But like you said, we're already in a recession. People can't afford things, and you're going to cut off a shit ton of jobs for AI.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of a similar, conversation back to like the early 2000s and the 90s, when a lot of jobs were being shifted from American workers to places like India and the Philippines, and outsourcing call centers and stuff like that. So it's weird that we're now taking it even further from even those, and now we're going to full like computer AI taking all these positions away.
Yeah. Because I don't know, AI and taking away all our jobs and all that stuff is definitely a scary thing. I think we're seeing it more and more. I even think it's something that's impacting my business or my job, because people are just like, why would I hire a coach when I can just use AI to design programs for me and talk to me like a coach and stuff like that. But I will say, as a coach, I've tried it out just to see how it goes, and it is not accurate. It gets some things right, but it gets some things wrong, and it does not have a good memory. It will just forget a lot of things. So I don't think we're there yet in that sense, but some people might think that that's where we're at because they don't have the knowledge to know that something could be incorrect. But yeah, I don't know. I did see that a bunch of, safety guardrail people at different AIs resigned this week. And did you see the letter? Sorry, I was like, something was about to break when you were reading that. And I was like, oh no. Did you see like the letter from the guy that it was the logistics chairman, I think, Sultan Ahmed something. No, dude, that was something else. That was, sorry. Where am I getting to the AI? Let's talk about. Oh boy, I'm winning this one. Okay. Anyway, there is the main guy from I don't know if it was ChatGPT or Claude or something along those lines, like resigned because he was terrified of what was happening, and he's basically going to retire and live in the UK and write poetry because he's like, nope, I'm not in for this. And so he was only one of a few that did that. Sorry, I'm still searching that outline. Where did I put that in there?
Well, I think that, a big issue is you're having people who, get a taste of AI and they're like, oh, well, AI can take care of all of this stuff. AI, like you said, I can use AI to do a fitness plan for me, right? Now, that might be a good idea for someone who just really can't afford a coach and just needs a start, just needs, some starting, right? Give them some examples. But AI is not perfect. There's a lot of issues, and it can't replace human interaction and human knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I work for a production company. I do content strategy for local businesses, and I use AI in the sense of like as a tool. Like I'll be like, okay, I need some ideas. I need some knowledge that I'm not the business, so I don't have that expert knowledge. Give me some of that expert knowledge, but then I still have to put in that human touch because a lot of the times it's wrong, and you see people who are using AI as therapy. There was that lady who was using AI as therapy, talking about how like her previous therapist was in love with her and like all this stuff, and it put her in a psychosis, because AI is not a therapist. It's going to tell you what you want to hear, right? But there's just so many things that we should not be trusting AI to do 100%. There needs to be human hands on AI. It really terrifies me, these Wemo cars that are driving around, and like people are trusting them and using them, and like that's great, but I'm also seeing videos of them driving on light rail tracks and getting stuck, or driving through flooded waters because it can't tell, or almost hitting someone because it was dark and it couldn't, sense it, like at least with a human, like a human's going to make mistakes, but a human is going to be able to figure out how to get out of a solution. If you're driving a car and you accidentally drive on light rail tracks, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I need to drive off the light rail tracks instead of I'm just going to sit here, and, whatever. So yeah, AI scares me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting, I mean, like I saw them predict, that it's going to take over jobs within the next 12 months. And this is something that Andrew Yang ran off of when he was running for president. It was in the Trump era, 2016. He was running for president. He didn't make it super far, but he was back then in 2016 wanting to implement universal basic income for people because he saw AI doing what it's doing, which is taking over jobs. And that's why he was trying to run on that specifically, but no one really understood at that time because he was way ahead of the game. Now, I've not heard universal basic income come up as an option here, but they're still in that, they're kind of lying to his face where they're like, AI has actually created more jobs for people, blah, 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 which, okay, maybe that could be true initially. I don't know if it is because I've only heard of people losing their jobs at this point. But the people who are using AI for their jobs are basically training AI to do their jobs. And we don't really have a choice because the only option is to use AI as a tool or get left behind. But then, eventually AI is no longer going to be a tool. It's using you as a tool to learn how to do your job.
Yeah.
So what do we do in the circumstance when, people are out of work? How do you even choose? Like if you're someone who is college age right now, how do you choose a career that is going to be there, like for job stability and stuff moving forward? And even manual labor jobs are not safe. Eventually, they're going to build, or they already have built robots, but we're going to have a bunch of robots building shit. And,
instead of a human operating the robots, it's going to be an AI operating the robots.
Yes, exactly. It's all it's happening very, very quickly. And that's what they were kind of mentioning, how from 2021 to like 2026, it has gone really far, but even there was a huge jump just within 2024 to 2026. And they're saying if you have not used AI in just a couple of years, it is like a whole new ball game, and you're gonna have a tough time, figuring everything out because it has progressed so quickly within the past couple of years. And I think that's one of the biggest things they're saying, kind of it concerns them. So it's just basically they're saying it's like AI is ending white collar life as we know it. Those entry level jobs that middle class Americans or whatever could work and still support. Like, obviously, they didn't exist anymore before AI because wages are too low, prices are too high. But I just don't. No one is talking about putting a plan in place for when this actually happens, and it's going to be sooner than later. I know it's something that Des is worried about with her job. Mm-hmm. I'm worried about it with my job. The only thing that I think is safe right now long term, and I feel grateful at the same time, but not so much because it's a shit wage, but I don't think robots will be cooking our food. I mean, I know they can in like McDonald's settings and stuff like that, but I mean actual like authentic Mexican cuisine or, like actual food that requires thought, creativity, and taste. So I'm like, well, at least I can fall back on cooking. I'm glad that's a trade that isn't going anywhere for a while. The unfortunate part is that it pays absolute garbage, and it's very stressful working in kitchens. So unless I can kind of create my own business, it's going to be rough mentally for sure. So just trying to think like, what are college kids these days getting into so they know they'll have career stability? Do they have to go into AI, just to stay relevant? I know even medicine is taking a hit or will take a hit. I don't think that we're ever going to have replacements for surgeons, at least overseeing robot. I know we already have like robotic stuff, but the doctor is in control of the robot. It's not just doing its own thing. I don't see that changing for a while because there is just such little room for error. And I do not want a glitchy ass robot like taking out my appendix and then taking out a liver instead, obviously that could happen with surgeon error if they're dumb enough. But usually there's enough,
but also
actual oversight.
But also the difference is if a human makes an error, there's accountability, right? If a program makes an error, like there's no accountability. You can't be like, that robot's fired. That robot's never going to work here again because it made such a mistake. It's like, oh, I guess we'll just do a system reboot and hopefully this doesn't happen again. I don't know if you've watched the latest episode of The Pit yet.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a whole part of that where like the new head doctor in the ER is trying to push, having everyone do like dictation, like AI dictation for their notes. And Santos, who's one of the students, is really behind on her notes. And so this doctor's like, use this AI, like at 90% faster, you just have to like double check it, whatever. And Santos is doing this. She dictates her notes and a patient gets rejected from an ER or from a procedure because AI adjusted what was in this medical record that wasn't accurate, and it was something that this doctor missed because she's in the middle of jumping between different, whatever. But that's the kind of thing where like, that's probably why it shouldn't be in those places, because you're leaving yourself up for error, like so high that it could affect a patient. Right. A patient could, who should have been in surgery right away is now delayed from being in surgery, and that could cause them their life,
Totally. Which is why I think, having human oversight at least is still always going to be a thing to like check it. But, they're going to improve it more and more. And, I think we're already having situations where people are getting denied insurance things because insurance companies are using AI to try it and, sort out and triage things, and it gets things wrong, and then it'll deny claims without even having any human oversight, and then people have to appeal, and it just delays their process, delays, or they just never get approved because they keep trying to use AI in order to make insurance decisions, and it's fucking bullshit. Big corporations are always going to do the thing that gives them more money, and that's the downfall of capitalism, right? And I know, being in the U.S., we stand for capitalism. It works, and look at our country. It has worked. Like socialism doesn't work because X, Y, Z, and But I'm pretty sure if the whole Epstein thing is not, evidence that capitalism does not work, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not saying parts of capitalism can't work. There's, basically, Canada's a capitalist country. We just don't think of it that way. It's kind of a hybrid, right? So can we have a bit more of a hybrid is what I'm trying. Like the UK is a bit more of a hybrid. Taxes are higher, yes, but cost of living is lower. And I think Americans, we just focus on getting as much money as we can into our own pockets. And that's what we see as successful or what makes us rich. But being rich is it's more than just about money. It's your quality of life, your work-life balance. How's your nervous system? Is it wrecked? how can you live your life when you're just working, paying bills, and then dying, you know? And I saw some clip around where Dr. Oz was talking about trying to get people to either work earlier or don't retire right away once they hit 65 if they're still healthy. And that's how we're going to like get us out of debt, because we could contribute trillions and trillions of more dollars if they keep us working longer and start us working earlier. And it just sounds like all these rich people are trying to figure out how to keep us slaves. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. How can we keep people working with shit wages, hardly able to afford anything, but earlier and longer? And that's just the American way in a nutshell, right? We've been sold this picture that if you work hard enough, then you're gonna be okay. You'll make it. You can do anything you put your mind to. That might have been true at one point, but it's definitely not true anymore. And I don't see anyone trying to fix it, besides maybe like Bernie. But he's one guy, and seeing the Epstein stuff, just seeing how, you know, we are not in control is really disheartening. So
it definitely makes you feel like just cattle. Like we're just being fed and shoved and stuffed into, you know, these things until they're done with us. You know, it's definitely scary.
Yeah, and you can hope, surely even rich people have empathy and can see, you know, or want to help humanity. But if they're willing to torture kids, there's no way in hell they're gonna give a fuck about you. Because that's just the lowest of the low. And if they do not feel any shame, guilt, or feel anything around that, there is no hope. We cannot have these people in charge. I don't know how we can't get that through everyone else's head. So, yeah. On that note, so speaking of like child torture and Epstein stuff, did you see? Oh yeah, so there was like a Bondi House hearing. Should we move on to that part of it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there's also been like, we'll just kind of merge these resignations. There's continued resignations from outside of the U.S. There's some accountability happening, just not in our country, which is fabulous. So just a little snippet about that. So logistics chairman Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem was replaced over Epstein friendship emails. Goldman Sachs top lawyer Kathy Rumler resigning after older brother emails. UK Labour peer Peter Mandelson quitting. Other probes firings to be announced. So a lot of, you know, things in other countries have, you know, people being found to have relations with Epstein. There's things that are happening. Either it's resignations, firings, investigations. But over here in the US, they're strictly being like, nope, it was a hoax, or there was no one else involved. And of course, we know that's just blatant lies. Like, they're continuing to gaslight us with basically everything else. But I think it's good to watch what other countries are doing. And especially if you're trying to get out of here, know where to go. What countries are holding people accountable? What countries are not putting up with the Epstein bullshit? And then we've got, so, you know, Bondi was testifying in front of the House, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it? Okay. And that was some crazy. Did you watch that?
I saw clips of it.
Yeah, same. I think the part that bothered me the most was she could not even turn around to look at survivors and, you know, apologize to them, because I forget who was questioning her at the time, but all the survivors were standing behind her, and they asked the survivors, you know, because basically at some point they said that they had already talked to all the survivors and were, you know, doing what they could to help and stuff. And then he asked the survivors, like, how many of you have reached out to the FBI personally? And they all raised their hands. And then, like, how many of you have actually heard back from the FBI personally? And, like, no one. Like, none of them have been reached out to or anything like that. And so they're just straight up lying, even under oath. And that's like the biggest thing that they're, some representative from California to Pam Bondi's face was like, I think you just lied under oath. And then she just was like, how dare you? It was, but the fact that she couldn't even turn around and look at the Epstein survivors after realizing that none of them have had a chance to, speak with them regarding the Epstein situation. And then she couldn't turn around to apologize, and she just wouldn't even look at them, wouldn't even look at them. And that speaks volumes. And she just kept going on the attack because that's how she's been trained. If you notice, every time someone asks her a question and she can't answer it, she comes up with an attack on the person asking the question, so that the point is to try to get that person to be defensive so that she can avoid actually answering the question. It's a crazy pattern. If you're aware of it, watch it back. And it's just like, wow, that is their strategy, is just to attack the person or someone in the, other side of the aisle instead of answering the question, just to waste fucking time. And she, which is why I think she went off about the Dow. And she also was personally defending President Trump and telling them that they need to apologize to President Trump for everything that has been happening. And they've been just going after him and all these investigations and stuff. And it's like, excuse me, there is a special place in hell for someone who can say those types of things in front of survivors who have personal experience and testimony, to say, that, hey, even if Trump wasn't involved with them, he was involved in some way, shape, or form, and he was looking the other way at the very least, but we know he's participating. He was friends with this guy, not just via email. And I'm sure there's emails between him and Donald Trump that they just completely took out. We did not get all the files. We did not get all the videos, and it's very highly redacted. But another thing is, Trump's just really bad at grammar and writing. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just did an email with Epstein, because can he even spell? We don't even know, because he writes his posts, and I feel like we can tell which ones he does write. But now I don't think he writes any of them. Especially that came more apparent when they claimed that someone from his staff is the one that released that video that represented Obama and Michelle as monkeys or whatever. And then he's like, oh, I didn't post that. It was someone on the staff or team. And so it's like, well, then what are you posting? Who is running this country? And they were saying the same exact shit when Biden was president. I do not fucking blame them for that, because it was weird. Biden was very not cognitively there. But it's almost like we're living it again, but in a worse version. I don't know. So on there. Oh yeah. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is still, going off on the attack. She was in an interview, or is a video I saw circling around, where she said, basically, don't be fooled. Trump was the one who was blocking the Epstein file release more than anybody. He was specifically trying to block them from being released. And he's the one, we've got a recording of him yelling at her, telling her, you're going to hurt. Those are my friends that you're going to hurt. Does that not incriminate him completely? Just completely? Because
you would think so.
At the very least, he's defending pedophiles. And that should not be okay for any party. And especially the party that has supposedly been trying to protect the children. So again, it's just crazy making.
Yeah. It's crazy to see how people are now starting to turn. I wish there was more people. I wish we had more people, especially in the House and the Senate, that were a little, less cowards and were able to actually stand up for what's right and vote for what's right. instead of just voting for whatever Trump wants. But yeah, it's sad. It's pretty sad, our state of government right now.
Yeah.
Especially like we're getting even a few like Democrats who are like voting alongside, Republicans for whatever reason, now we weren't in a government shutdown because Democrats voted with some Republicans to keep it open for a couple weeks. We are now in a government shutdown because thankfully they have actually stood up and said, no, we're not going to give any more funding to ICE because the stuff that the DOJ is doing is absolutely irrehensible. But who knows how long that's going to last.
Yeah. And I did see on that end of things where there's a article floating around about, or is a video where Hillary Clinton was saying that migration went too far, and that kind of people are floating that around, being like, when Hillary Clinton starts making sense when it comes to immigration and stuff, then there is a problem. And that's the whole part where people like, has the left gone too far left and all that stuff. And here's the thing, every country has an immigration system. I don't think that everyone on the left is like, it doesn't matter, just let everyone in, that sort of thing. I mean, I'm sure there's some. Like, I do feel we need some, control. Like, we need to screen. We don't want to let violent criminals in, although it's crazy that we're concerned about that when we already have the most violent, crazy criminals that are just in our government in charge. But that's for another time. It's just, we need policy. We can't just have open borders, but we can't have this crazy ass ICE army just breaking down people's doors, creating chaos. And that is the part that is not okay, and why they are putting their foot down, because it's like, hey, okay, we do want to protect our borders, but you're doing it in the worst way possible. And a lot of MAGA people specifically like to point out that both, Obama and Biden, they deported more people than Trump. And it's like, basically what you're saying is they were able to do that without creating this mass chaos and have ICE officers breaking into people's homes without a warrant and just basically kidnapping them. Mm-hmm. So until we can figure out a non-chaotic way to enforce these things, they definitely do not deserve to get those funds. But again, I don't think that at base level everyone is against, immigration systems and stuff like that. We need to be following the law, and the Trump administration is not following the law. And, any other country, like let's take the UK, for example. You want to move to the UK? It is incredibly hard even to get a visa. And, people think it's really hard here, which, it is. But it is, I mean, Canada is hard. And they're this country we see as being super nice and friendly and accepting and stuff, but they still have borders and they still have rules that you have to follow if you want to live in that country.
They have pretty strict rules too, even for visiting. I have a friend who was telling me like he can't even go visit Canada because he has a DUI, and that takes like 7 years or 10 years for that to like come off his record. So we can't even like visit. It's not even about moving. Like they're very strict. Yeah. I never knew that. Like I was like, oh yeah, whatever. But yeah, like they're pretty strict.
I take that shit seriously.
No, for sure. And I get it, I do think like, yeah, there needs to be, sorry, my dog's itching. Oh geez. I do think, wait till the camera focuses back on me.
God love when it does that.
I do think there definitely needs to be restrictions. But there also needs to be proper pathways for doing it. It needs to be clear. I think a lot of criminals that they're talking about that they're going to come into the U.S., they're going to come into the U.S. in illegal ways. They're not going to come in and follow the proper procedures. Now we also have people who maybe have to leave immediately and can't follow the proper procedures. They don't have the money to follow the proper procedures. I don't think that they should be arrested and, put into a Salvadorian prison because of that. They should have due process. And there should be some sort of empathy of like, okay, yeah, if you are a criminal, then you're going to get sent back and released to wherever country you were from, back to the authorities, and then you're going to face your justice for that, right? But if you're not a criminal and you're just trying to get over here, there needs to be some sort of like, okay, we're going to help you with the pathway. You have to follow these things, whatever. There's got to be other ways than just this mass chaos, and we're also seeing like a rise in U.S. citizens being arrested by DOJ, by ICE, just because they either have a, Hispanic last name, color of their skin. We're seeing a lot of Native Americans getting picked up by ICE, and it's just insane.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing that people are so mad about. And the right is like mad that the left, they're saying the left is insane because, okay, here's the thing. If this was actually true, the left wouldn't be mad about it or against it, right? So they're talking about how, the Trump administration is trying to get rid of violent criminals and people who, like, men who have raped women or have murdered women or done something violent towards women. And they're like, we are protecting the American citizens by deporting these people. But the problem is they're not doing due process. So they're making mistakes and they're not properly trained. And if this was actually the case where they were going after violent criminals who had a record or etc., that's a huge difference.
Yes.
But we're at this point where they've just built such distrust that the public doesn't know what to believe anymore. And so they might potentially be defending someone that they're trying to get that has raped somebody or killed someone or maybe is drug dealing or sex trafficking, right? But we can't believe anything that comes out of their mouth. So it's just this constant clash that's going to keep happening because there's no transparency. There's just no trust. It's been broken. I don't know how it's going to ever be rebuilt, honestly. So I think they need to figure out, like, they need to chill for a bit and maybe like revisit this once they've come back together, figured out proper training, figured out proper protocols, and figured out how to follow the fucking law.
They need to have mass layoffs. They need to get rid of all these people that they mass hired that are not qualified to be doing this job. I mean, even your dad said with the Renee Good shooting, like you've said, like your dad is a staunch Republican. He's been a LA County sheriff. He even was like, it was wrong. Like that the procedure was not followed the way through. Like, I have no problem with DOJ and ICE doing their job if they're doing it the right way and if they're hiring the right people and training them the right way. But I wouldn't trust a police department to just do a mass hiring and throw anyone who wants to have a gun in their hand to go, keep law in the streets. Like, that's when accidents are going to happen. You can't just do that. Like, you have to find people that are right for that job. And that's the problem. It's we have a lot of people out there with an authority complex,
yes,
that think they look cool, wearing their, their army fatigues basically out on the street, but they don't know the law. They don't know their own policies. They don't know what they're doing is right or wrong. And they're just swinging their weight around. I mean, we're seeing so many videos of ICE agents who think they're being followed, stopping cars behind them and pointing their guns immediately at women who are driving. It's just no comprehension of right or wrong. It's just, I'm going to react. And we can't have people on the street with weapons like that.
No. And speaking of weapons, I don't know if you saw it, but there was another shooting a school shooting in Canada, actually. And I think luckily because it was Canada and not the US. However, I'm anticipating something happening very soon. Another shooting with a trans person in the US because they're looking for a scapegoat. We're always a scapegoat, right? I get this feeling that something is going to happen again very, very soon because of everything. And they need the distraction with the Epstein files. And they want to blame someone. And they want to make sure that we are not united. They want to throw the culture wars in there. And that's how it's frustrating because MAGA can be so easily stirred. I mean, the left can too. Let's be real. We can be easily distracted and just end up fighting each other. But yeah, there was this school shooting in Canada, and it was a trans woman. I didn't even want to look into it any further because it gets to you because it revs the anxiety. Like, here we go again. But the only thing I can say is, fortunately, that part of the narrative didn't gain a whole lot of traction in the US because I think they're trying, but everything is being just pummeled by the Epstein situation. And I really hope it stays that way because the Trump administration is trying to move on. So I'm assuming he's going to do everything in his power to try to get people to move on. And we just cannot let that happen because we cannot have people that are like, don't even flinch when it comes to murder, sex trafficking, child torture. And if all of the conspiracy around eating children is true, then holy fucking shit, you know? This is not a country that I trust or feel safe in if we're letting those people run our country. So I don't know what we're gonna do. That's the question I always keep. Who's gonna step up and say, "All right, Americans, this is what we need to do. This is how we can defeat or pull all these people out of the government." And I know Thomas Massey is trying very hard, and Rokana, is that how you pronounce his name? They're teaming up. They are Republicans, and it's interesting because they are very conservative. You know, they're conservative. They're not friends to trans people or gay people, but again, they're Americans, and they see that this is a problem. So this is a uniting situation, and I'm almost in my head. I'm like, I don't like their social stances, but I would probably still vote for them if it meant that they were not corrupt in the sense of child sex trafficking and all the stuff that they're trying to hold people accountable for. Because I'm like, at least you have values. That's what is the most important thing when it comes to someone being the president. Because if they have values and they have empathy, there's always a chance they could change their mind with life experience. Like, Obama was not for gay marriage when he came into office. And that changed, and he credited it to his daughter, right? So that's not to say that if someone's against something going to office, as long as they have values, sometimes that can change. But when you put someone in office with no moral values, just completely corrupt, how do you think that is going to be good for a country? Yeah. I don't know. Would you vote for a Republican if they had actual values, even if they were not so trans friendly? Like, if you had no other option for a Democrat, essentially, like the Democrat person, let's say Hillary was running again, and we know she's had a lot of Epstein encounters, and she has definitely turned an blind eye to it all. So if you had to choose between like Hillary and someone, and Massey and Rokana, like, say they were running together, who would you vote for?
That's a hard one. I think it depends. I don't really know a lot about Massey and Rokana, so I would have to really look into what they're pushing. You know, I look back at Mitt Romney and what was it, McCain, when they were running. I've always been more liberal, and so that's the way I voted. But I could understand them. Like, I could understand where, what they were pushing, what they were for. If I would be okay if they had won presidency, I wouldn't have been like, the world's ending, I'm not going to have rights, whatever. So it would just depend on what they're running. If they're running where, like, we're focusing on, building America back up, and it's not, we're focusing on, getting rid of trans people and gay people, and we're gonna stop abortion. Like, if that's what they're running, then, like, I don't know what I would vote. Probably I'd try and leave the country, to be honest. You know, if that's like my only options.
Yeah.
But I think that's, you know, a good point too, is we have a lot of people who are Democrat or they're Republican and they just vote with their party no matter what, and they don't look in. And that's what we had a problem with Trump. You know, we have a lot of people who definitely are MAGA and like are more pro-Trump, but I think we had a lot of people, especially his first round, that were just voting with him because he was the Republican and didn't really look deep into what his policies were and what his beliefs were and all that. They just went with, oh, you know, this is what Fox News is telling me. This is, you know, whatever. I've actually know a couple people who had voted for him the first time around, and like mid, you know, after he got elected, were like, oh yeah, I didn't realize he was going to do this. I didn't realize, I just voted with my party, you know, and they regretted it afterwards. So I think that's very important either way, you know, whenever election is coming, you can't just vote with what your party wants or, you know, whatever. Like, you have to do the research and make sure that the person that you're electing is going to be someone who not only has good morals, but is going to be, at the very least, not hurting other people's rights, you know, just, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, some people voted for him because they may not have liked him, but they did like his policy. And so they were just kind of hoping that, you know, he would follow through on the policy and, you know, not be just completely morally corrupt. But that, unfortunately, he is not shown to be. So I feel like there's like two sides to that. I feel like that's kind of probably where my parents kind of lie, where it's like the policy is what they're wanting. It's
well,
not
the first time
that
around,
they love the dude.
The first time around, he wasn't against gay people in his thing. He wasn't against trans people. He was like, even I would let Caitlyn Jenner, you know, use the women's bathroom in my hotel. Like, he was very like, I'm a cool guy, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, all of his policies was all promising, like, again, make America great again. You know, he was talking about bringing more jobs back to Americans, and, you know, he was gonna make, you know, our economy greater than it was, drain the swamp, right? And that sounds great to anyone who's just listening to it. They're like, oh yeah, this guy, like, this is exactly what I want. You know, we need to make America great to where, like, you can afford a house when you're, you know, 25, and, you know, we're not all in debt. We, you know, all of this stuff. But anytime you look deeper into, like, how was he going to do this? There was never an answer.
Yeah.
Because it was exactly like, you know, you watch, you know, movie or TV where, like, someone's running for, like, school council just because they want to be president, and then they get president and they're like, oh, I didn't know this was how this goes. I promised we were going to have Fridays off for the rest of the year. And they're like, yeah, you can't do that. You know, like, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was doing a lot of that this time around as well. Like, the Epstein files being one of them, right? It was just, he was dangling carrots in front of people's faces. And so there's a lot of sides to, you know, people being pissed or regretting their vote. One, because he's not been doing even what his base has wanted him to do. They are like, he's compromised. Israel's running the show. He's doing the opposite of what he said. Fuck Trump, right? Then there's the people that were kind of looking away from that and telling people just to trust the process. He knows what he's doing. And it's all for a purpose. And then the Epstein files stuff comes, and then they're like, fuck Trump because he's protecting pedophiles, and they've woken up on that scenario. And then there's still the people who are still saying trust the process. And of course, we know he's got all his paid influencers that say the same thing every single time something negative comes out. It's this campaign that they put all this, like, oh, Trump was cleared. He cleared his name. The Epstein files only support what he has always said. And it's like, no, but they know that people aren't going to research it themselves. So it's this weird, it's this defense of campaigns that they're paying influencers to do their work for them, because that's how they know that's how people in our generation get their information now. They know that we are influenced by other citizens, not so much by the politician themselves or the administration. And they're smart, but we're getting smarter. And I mean, maybe not all of us, but we're learning how they're doing these things, you know? So, yeah. Any other topics that we missed that we should touch on? I realize we're approaching an hour, or we hit an hour here.
I've seen a lot of rumors, which I haven't really followed up with. I've seen the rumor of Kristi Noem having an affair.
Yeah, did see that.
I've also right. I've also seen a rumor that Erica Turk is pregnant.
That's been going around for a while.
Has that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw one video where this guy's like, here's the tea. Basically like Charlie Kirk found out that she was like having an affair, and when he died, he changed the will, so she was out of it and only everything goes to the kids. But apparently the kids weren't his. Like, that's a whole rumor that's going around now. So
I've seen that too, but it's hard to know what is real or not. But I think the latest thing I did see, I think Candace Owens touched on it as well, is that she removed their wedding photo from behind where she sits in the podcast. And it's like, why would she do that? If, she loved her husband so much. But I think her role in all this has also been a point of awakening for some MAGA folks. And I saw a post a couple nights ago, someone just being like, I'm Republican, I voted for Trump, all these things. But that being said, I cannot turn away or turn a blind eye to the way that Erica Kirk has been behaving. And she's like, I know everyone grieves differently. And this isn't about Candace Owens putting things in my head or XYZ. She's like, this is patterns and reasoning from my own brain that I have recognized, and I just cannot sit with it any longer. It just doesn't make sense. And yeah, it's very suspect. So I am seeing more and more of that. And even seen some rumors of there being some sort of connection, or you can find some stuff in the Epstein files potentially like linking Charlie Kirk's potential death, not necessarily to Erica, but in the sense, I think that he was a risk to them. Like, he was not following along with what they were wanting him to follow along with, and he was going to blow the whistle on all things Epstein, and that's why he was murdered or whatever. But again, we don't know what's true. We need conspiracy theories for our conspiracy theories. Once we found that a lot of these conspiracy theories are true, or like, how much deeper can we go? Like, we need more rabbit holes. And then like Candace Owens being the conspiracy queen, she's like, oh, damn, I got to think of some more conspiracy theories to like not just seem like every other, independent journalists or whatever. So it's really hard.
I also noticed that it's been like super quiet on the Tyler Robinson front. Like, I haven't heard anything,
No. Yeah. We haven't heard anything from the FBI about Tyler Robinson since what? The first week? Something along those lines. But I think it's becoming more and more apparent that not only like that has something very strange. It is not some trans furry, significant other to the shooter that inspired this. That is just nutty at this point. And then we're finding out that we think, the Butler situation, the assassination attempt, President Trump, was just a message from, Israel that he better fucking, do what they say, or else that's what's going to happen to him. Because just like Tyler Robinson, we did not hear anything. I don't even know the guy's name anymore about the alleged shooter. And that was a pretty prominent point in Trump's journey to presidency for, the second round. But also, it's just a pretty prominent point in history. Whenever there's a assassination attempt, even on a president, a potential president, ex-president, whatever, that's not some shit that just goes away. But it just seems like they're trying to make it go away. And we still don't know anything about him, his family. They have never talked on camera, never done any interviews. And that is also very not normal, like at all. So then there's the whole Epstein was running, or like the connection between like the MK Ultra situation and the Epstein stuff, and just who he was talking to, and all the things that he was into or running or doing. And it's like, so what, how do we not know that these like these kids, right? Like college age kids, barely, how do we not know they were subject to some kind of mind control situation, you know? Uh, that sounds crazy, coming out of my mouth right now, but it's just like, nothing is impossible. Nothing at this point. And yeah, it's a lot. And I think the part that I really wish I could factor, what I really wish I could know what was true, so I know which way for my brain to go down, is like, was Epstein just, was he a spy for Israel who created a blackmail ring using sex trafficking, to get prominent figures, uh, to control them, to help Israel control them by, bringing them into his child sex trafficking ring circle? Or like, was there also this other side of it where it was like this cult situation where they were sacrificing babies and eating babies? Uh, it's hard to know what to believe. That part of it sounds insane, but at the same time, I feel like there's this looming cloud of darkness that does not put it out of possibility, uh, because there's this. I found this list of words that are like code words, and there's like the pizza, turkey, ice cream, and like they all mean something pertaining to children.
Grape soda.
Yes. And in their emails, it's like, oh, that was a great pizza party last night, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I don't want to know. I don't know. Do I want to know? But yeah, it's frightening is all I have to say. So anywho.
Well, before we get too far down that hole, should we talk about what we've been watching?
Which hole? Just kidding. Yeah, let's do that. What have you been watching?
Still caught up with The Pit. We just watched the latest episode, I think Friday night. We've been trying to rewatch Jurassic Park, but I keep falling asleep at the exact same time every time. So my wife finally just watched it without me, so I need to rewatch it by myself, apparently.
She's like,
it's my
nope.
fault for being. It's like every time we go lay in bed, like I'm like, oh, I want to watch Jurassic Park, and then like 20 minutes in, I'm like, just crashed out.
She's like, I hate you.
Yeah, pretty much. What else have we been watching? We finished Queen Charlotte. That one was really good. If you like Bridgerton, I think that's it that we've been watching this last week. We mainly watched Queen Charlotte. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. We've been watching so The Pit, and then Shrinking, the show Shrinking. If you've not checked it out yet, it's the perfect show for right now, because it's just perfectly balanced between heartwarming and dramatic, but then also the humor. It's basically dark comedy. It's my favorite type of movie or show. And the characters are awesome, and it just makes you want to be part of their family and stuff. So that one is very good. Highly recommend. It's on Apple TV. There's 3 seasons, or maybe, yeah, I think they just released the latest season. I think it's the 3rd. Could be the 4th. I think it's 3rd. And it's just very good. Let's see. Oh, and just for a little summary of what it's about therapists. They have this practice, and this guy lost his wife recently. He's the therapist. And so it kind of goes through his grieving process and his struggles with his daughter and stuff like that. And he's got this neighbor who's, kind of obnoxiously involved with everything. And it's a lot of good laughs. But it's just one of those heartwarming shows that everyone needs right now. So go check it out. And Top Chef, still watching that. We finally got to the part where Padma is no longer the host, and it's sad because we're like, okay, so we have one more season after the season. We just started to be caught up, and I think the newest season is coming out either at the end of February or March. So it feels weird to be caught up with Top Chef because we were very far behind, but it's just such a good show to check out and keep watching. 1,000 Pound Sisters. I've been keeping up with that one. Again, lots of drama this season with Tammy and Amy. Fingers crossed, we'll see if they reconcile. Yeah, that's about it. I always go to bed or fall asleep watching alien documentaries or just like conspiracy documentaries or true crime documentaries because whenever I put them on, Des will fall asleep. So I just put it on at the end of the night. She's out in like 2 seconds and I'll take a little longer, but I usually fall asleep to them and then I'll just start off where I left off the night before.
We just started watching Florida Man.
Oh yeah, you told me to start watching that. What's that about?
It's kind of on similar vibe as like Drunk History. If you ever watched Drunk History, where like someone's telling their story, and then it's like it's being reenacted by like basically comedic actors, but they're Florida Man stories. So like the first episode is like this guy who's obviously like high on meth or something, like he's fucking crazy, but he's telling his story about how like he decided to like go jump in the swamp and then go swimming, and he got his arm bit off by an alligator, and then he somehow survived without his arm, like stuck in the swamp for like 3 days before someone found him. And like, but there's like an actor like reenacting like this whole thing, and it's super hilarious. And then they're interviewing the guy who it happened to, like he's the one telling the story, and at the end they're back at the spot where this happened. He's like, I don't know, man. I feel it. Like, I just want to go jump back in. I just want to do it again. Like, and like the second episode is like these two women who apparently like had like some sort of like neighbor beef with each other, and one woman was like a practicing witch and was like cursing the other neighbor, but one of the reenactors was Anna Faris, so it was very like scary movie, like overly dramatic, funny. I'll send you a clip, but it was like it's I think it's a good like end of the night palate cleanser, like after you've watched something like really serious or it's just been like a really stressful day, like let's put something on that's just gonna just so wild and gonna make you laugh. And then but I think that show's got 2 or 3 seasons.
Okay, then I'll definitely have to check it out. Amazon keeps wanting to play after we watch it might have been 1,000 Pound Sisters or even The Pit. It keeps wanting to play Suddenly Amish. I don't know if you've gotten any ads or anything. It seems interesting, but I haven't gotten into it because I don't want to get like distracted, especially when it's like time to go to bed after or something. Like no, I'll get too interested in it. But it's like about these people who are they've not been Amish, but now they're going to live as Amish. And so I'm like, that would be kind of interesting and hilarious to watch. I don't know how. The thing that bothers me is it's probably so scripted and unreal that it's pointless. And I have trust issues because everything I feel like is unreal. And we just haven't known it this whole time. The government isn't real. Like, even our entertainment has been propaganda. And so I'm just like, well, every night I'm going to sit up, get nice and comfy for my propaganda for the day because I don't know what the fuck is real anymore. But we still got to live this life and somehow live decently happy. So, well, I'm going to have to keep taking my nightly dose of propaganda. The timeline we're
going to have to start like nutty. Just stop watching TV and like completely and just like go back to reading books.
Yeah, or there's, I would like to say YouTube could be safe potentially, depending on who you're paying attention to. Like us, hey, no propaganda here. We are just Joe Schmoes. But I feel like YouTube was really, it created that sense of, this is real. And I think that's why a lot of creators are kind of going back to that, where it's not as highly produced, because people are craving real connection, because there's so much AI out there. There's so much, like, everything looks the same. Everyone, writes the same, talks the same, reads the same, because everyone is using
Everyone's
AI.
copying. Yeah, they're using AI, or they're copying someone else.
Exactly. So, we were talking about a little bit this week about vlogging and how you were kind of wanting to get back into it. But it's just, not only as a person who is, creates videos and stuff, it's like I miss that connection with an audience where you're just your authentic self. You're just doing your everyday shit. And I miss watching people who are doing that type of content, because vlogging was really big when in 2016. It was Casey Neistat's, peak. And I loved his stuff. A lot of people were kind of moving that direction with the vlogs. And then it just kind of stopped because they all got burned out. And then everyone was doing more talking head videos or just niche down videos. And I don't love those as much, because I really love watching people's lives. And I guess I'm nosy or some shit, but I just feel like I learn the most from watching other people, other average people. And it's just real. And you feel like you have more of a connection, even if you don't. But, that's the kind of content I feel like people are really craving right now. And how are we going to, at some point, we're not even going to be able to know if that is real, but we can at least hope, I guess.
Well, I think also you see, a trend with creators where there was a lot of authenticity in the beginning, and then creators start getting, more popular, and they get brand deals. And then it's almost every video is about selling something. And obviously they have to do that because you have to make money. If you really want to be a creator and continue doing that, it is a full-time job, but it does make it hard to still have that connection when you're having to sell something that, maybe you don't fully support,
Yeah. And that's the problem, though, is, if you're a creator and you are trying to sell something that you don't support, that's a red flag. Like, you don't want to do that. It's not going to feel good. I have a hard time doing that. Like, I only have one sponsor, which is Legion, and I use their products way before I was sponsored by them and truly use and believe in that product. But I still struggle with selling, because I don't want to sound like one of those shitty influencers. And so I could be doing like way better in that realm, but I just don't want to be an asshole. And I'm trying to think of, like, when I follow creators who are genuine and, like, genuinely, the product aligns with something they would use, or like, I don't care. It's fine, because I understand it. And the people that are creating your videos, unfortunately, are not going to make enough money off of YouTube alone. And so this is why they need the sponsorships. And if they want to stay consistent and not burn out, unfortunately, that is what is needed. So I never like to give people shit for doing sponsorships and stuff. But you can tell when someone's just doing something for the money, doesn't actually use the product, or doesn't care about the product, or is just misaligned with their overall brand in general. But I don't know why I was going off of that. But we're craving connection and authenticity in the era of AI, is what I'm trying to say. So it's like, everyone, go out, find some authentic people to follow, or go out and talk to people in real life, to ground yourself, or just get outside to ground yourself for a second, because it does help to know when you feel like the world's on fire. If you just step out your door and, you got your feet on the ground, and you're just telling yourself, like, okay, mindfulness, let's be mindful and present in the moment. And you're just, like, listening to the sounds you hear, what the sensations you feel and all that, just to put yourself in that present moment and realize, like, in this moment right now, like, I'm safe, and this is my small little world, and we're okay. I've had to do that a lot more, because it can very quickly feel like your whole world is collapsing if you are staying in internet land.
Yeah, for sure.
So sorry for that. Well, I don't know what that was. That was like my health coach just came out. But yeah. So any last words, Calvin?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Good talk.
Don't believe everything AI tells you.
No, please don't. And I'm getting to a point where I fucking hate it because I hate when people put out fake images, fake videos, because it just muddies the water of what is truth. And it could be a tool, but we are not using it for that completely right now. Stop making fake shit. God damn it. Anyway, all right. So, sounds like someone's ready for you to do something.
Wife just got home with my other dog.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll wrap this up. But thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, if you want to join the Discord channel for some support, do that. Put the link in the description, and we'll see you in there possibly. But other than that, peace out, guys. We will talk to you next time.